Commander Alex gazed at the lifeless control panel. 3 days had crawled by since the engines died. 3 days suspended in the black emptiness of unexplored territory. 3 days watching their chances slip away like the fading emergency lights aboard the Starweaver. "Any progress with communications?" Alex asked without looking up. The response would mirror the last dozen attempts. Navigator Tom gave a slight shake of his head. Silent. "Our emergency broadcast is transmitting, but we're far beyond any shipping lanes. Nobody's going to pick it up from here." The Starweaver served as a science ship, never designed for the deep emptiness where they now floated. Their assignment had been straightforward. Gather information from the outer planets and head back. But straightforward assignments could turn deadly. Engineer Kay walked onto the bridge, cleaning dark liquid from her palms with an already dirty rag. Her expression revealed everything before she uttered a word. "The power source is completely gone," she announced. "The crystal structure broke apart when we passed through that energy field. We lack any replacement components that could even start to repair this." Dr. Ben glanced up from his workstation where he'd been measuring their remaining resources. "What's our life support situation?" Kay's posture sagged. "With current consumption, 10 days, possibly 12, if we shut down everything except vital systems." Alex moved toward the window. Stars gazed back, frozen and remote. Their magnificence felt merciless now. "We have to make tough decisions," Alex stated. "We need to enter the hibernation chambers. It will stretch our oxygen reserves." "And then what?" Tom questioned. "We simply wait and pray somebody discovers us before the backup energy dies too." Alex faced the small team. They were all Nexar, a race recognized throughout the galaxy for their sophisticated technology and analytical minds. Their blue-tinted silver skin caught the emergency glow, making them appear even more phantom-like than usual. "Yes," Alex said plainly. "Prayer is our only option now." The following day, they powered down all non-critical systems. The Starweaver's hallways transformed into shadowy passages, illuminated only by floor-level lighting. The air grew colder as heating dropped to bare minimum levels. Kay worked to redirect power to the emergency beacon, prioritizing it after life support. "If anyone gets within detection range, they'll sense our presence," she said. But her tone carried no real belief. In the modest dining space, the 4 team members met for what could be their final shared meal. The rations, protein blocks engineered for function rather than flavor, did nothing to lift the heavy mood. "The Nexar leadership won't dispatch anyone to search for us," Tom said, shattering the thick silence. "We're too distant from our route. They'll record us as casualties and continue forward." Nobody disagreed. The Nexar were ruthlessly practical, endangering additional ships and personnel to sweep through the vastness of space for one missing vessel would be deemed illogical. Ben pushed his half-finished ration aside. "My relatives will hold the memorial ritual. They'll arrange my possessions in the ancestral display and speak my identity to the cosmos." His voice wavered slightly. "I always imagined I would pass away elderly, encircled by generations of descendants." Alex reached across the surface and rested a hand on Ben's forearm. "We're still breathing, but they all realized their odds diminished with each passing moment. On the 5th day, the ship's system identified a collection of space rocks in their path. Without propulsion, they couldn't alter direction. "The protective barriers are at minimum strength," Kay announced. "They'll deflect the smallest debris but anything bigger." She left the thought unfinished. For 6 tense hours, they observed as the Starweaver drifted through the field of cosmic fragments. Each collision made them flinch. The barriers flickered with every strike. A stone the size of a closed fist crashed into the exterior near the storage area. Alert signals blazed. "Exterior damage in storage compartment 3, the computer declared in its emotionless voice. "Sealing emergency doors," Kay said, hands racing over the crisis controls. When the ordeal ended, they'd sacrificed nearly half their remaining provisions. Their survival window had just contracted dramatically. "We must enter the hibernation chambers immediately," Alex determined. "We can't delay any longer." The hibernation chambers were situated in the medical section. Initially created for wounded team members requiring intensive monitoring, they could also sustain life by reducing all biological processes to nearly nothing. "I've configured them to revive us if a recovery signal is identified," Ben explained as he readied the chambers. "Otherwise, they'll maintain us in suspension until power depletes." "How much time will that provide us?" Tom inquired. With only the chambers operating on emergency energy. Perhaps 2 months, Kay responded. Beyond that, she didn't need to clarify. Alex studied each team member carefully. They had worked together for 3 years. They were beyond co-workers. They were kin. We ought to record farewell messages, Alex proposed. Nobody protested. One after another, they positioned themselves before the ship's recording system and addressed loved ones they would probably never encounter again. When finished, Alex created a final captain's entry. This is Commander Alex of the Nexar science vessel Starweaver. We have experienced complete engine breakdown. In Sector 12, Kappa location details are included with this transmission. We have entered hibernation chambers to prolong our survival window. If you discover this ship and we remain alive, we are grateful. If not, please notify the Nexar leadership of our circumstances and deliver these recordings to our relatives. Alex stopped, then continued. To whoever might discover us, we did not surrender peacefully to the darkness of space. We resisted until our final moment. The chambers hummed with gentle power as Ben activated each one. Kay went first, then Tom. Alex watched as their breathing decreased, their blue-silver skin developing a crystallized appearance as the preservation compounds took effect. Ben stood beside the last 2 chambers. After you, Commander. Alex shook his head. Leaders go last. Ben acknowledged with understanding. It has been a privilege working with you, and with you, trusted friend. After Ben was secured in suspension, Alex took one last walk through the quiet ship. Emergency lights projected elongated shadows along vacant corridors. The Starweaver had been a fine ship. It didn't deserve this isolated ending. On the bridge, Alex touched the primary console one final time, then activated the exterior camera display. The ship was isolated in the expanse, a tiny metal sphere enclosed by infinite darkness. Someone discover us, Alex whispered to the cosmos. Please. Back in the medical section, Alex climbed into the final chamber, the cover sealed with a gentle hiss. Freezing vapor filled the space. As awareness started to dissolve, Alex had a final consideration. In the vastness of space, what were the odds anyone would locate them before time ran out? The response arrived in visions of frost and shadow. Captain Jack stretched in his seat on the bridge of the horizon. The human exploration craft had been charting this region for 3 weeks now. It was tedious work, but essential. Earth required new extraction locations, and this unexplored section of space could contain precious materials. How much longer until we complete the scan of this area? Jack asked, suppressing a yawn. Lisa, the communications specialist, reviewed her display. About 6 hours, Captain. Then we can return to base as planned, Jack acknowledged. The team of 12 had been away from their planet for nearly 2 months. They were all eager to return, to sense solid ground under their boots again, to witness blue atmosphere instead of perpetual stars. Captain, Lisa said abruptly, her posture stiffening. I'm detecting something unusual. Define unusual, Jack said, approaching her workstation. It's a transmission, extremely weak, utilizing an obsolete frequency we haven't encountered in years. Her fingers danced across her display, fine-tuning settings. It's an emergency beacon. The bridge grew quiet. In the immensity of space, an emergency transmission was both uncommon and significant. Can you locate it? Jack asked. Lisa worked her systems for a moment. Yes, it's originating from about half a day's travel off our scheduled path. Mike, the navigator, grimaced. That would delay us significantly, Captain. The corporation won't be pleased if we're delayed delivering the survey information. Jack dragged a hand through his cropped brown hair. Put the transmission on audio. A moment later, a repeating sequence of tones filled the bridge. It was mechanical and cold, but to everyone listening, it could have been a cry for rescue. Any indication who it belongs to? Jack asked. Lisa shook her head. The frequency is outdated, at least 20 years behind current standards. It's not matching any existing human emergency codes. Extraterrestrial, First Officer Robb suggested. Possibly, Lisa confirmed. But I can't determine which race. Jack paced the compact bridge. The decision wasn't simple. Changing course would mean setbacks, bureaucracy, and possibly hazards. Unknown alien meetings were always risky. What do we do, Captain? Robb asked, understanding what Jack was considering. Jack stopped pacing. What would we hope someone would do if that was our transmission? The question required no response. Mike, chart a course to the transmission origin. Lisa, continue tracking in case there's any modification. Rob, ready the medical section for potential survivors. Yes, Captain, they answered in unison. And notify the remaining. Team, Jack added. Tell them our homecoming just got delayed. 12 hours later, the horizon neared the origin of the emergency transmission. Visual acquired, Mike announced, displaying it on the primary screen. The display screen revealed a ship floating against the canvas of stars. It was elegant, with flowing lines that suggested velocity and beauty when it had been functional. Now it hung motionless in space, only a few exterior lights still flashing weakly. Scan it, Jack commanded. Exterior is undamaged, but I'm detecting a small rupture in what looks like a storage area, Rob reported. Minimal energy readings. The ship is operating on backup systems only. Life readings? Jack asked. Rob adjusted the scanner. Yes, 4 of them. Very weak. They seem to be in some form of suspended state. Jack leaned forward. Can you determine the race? The ship configuration and life readings are typical of Nexar technology. Rob said they're not frequent in this sector. Must be a science or exploration craft that strayed off path. The Nexar were familiar to humans but not well known. Their blue-silver skin and sophisticated technology made them somewhat enigmatic. Relations between humans and Nexar were neutral. Not warm, but not confrontational either. How long has that ship been floating? Jack asked. Lisa checked her readings. Based on the beacon's energy decline, I'd estimate about 2 months. 2 months. Jack tried to picture being stranded in space for that duration, observing systems collapse, hoping for a rescue that might never arrive. Captain, Rob said softly, their life support is collapsing. Those stasis chambers are operating on the last of their emergency power. I'd give them 3 days maximum before they shut down permanently. Jack acknowledged grimly. Then we have work to do. Ready a boarding team. We need to extract those people from there. 2 hours later, Jack led a group of 5 toward the alien craft. They wore protective suits, uncertain what conditions they would encounter inside. The Horizon shuttle transported them across the brief distance between the ships. Remember, Jack told the group, these are Nexar. They're logical, methodical, and probably terrified. We move carefully. We stay composed. The group included Rob, Dr. Sam, and engineers Kelly and Mark. They were the finest the Horizon had to offer. Approaching the entry port now, Mark reported from the shuttle systems. I'm detecting minimal atmosphere inside the ship. Suits will be required. The shuttle connected with a gentle bump. The group verified their gear one last time before cycling through the entry port. They entered darkness. Their helmet beams cut through the shadows, revealing a corridor that curved gently forward. The air was thin and frigid. Power's almost exhausted, Kelly observed, checking her scanner. Life support is at less than 10%. Let's locate those stasis chambers, Jack commanded. Sam, which direction? Sam consulted his medical scanner. Life readings are coming from that way, he said, indicating down the corridor about 50 meters. They advanced carefully through the silent craft. Emergency lighting gave everything a blue shade, making the metal surfaces look like ice. Their footsteps reverberated in the emptiness. Remarkable construction, Mark commented, running a gloved palm along a wall panel. The Nexar are famous for their engineering, but I've never witnessed one of their ships firsthand. Stay focused, Mark, Jack reminded him. Sightseeing comes after. They located the medical section on the 2nd level. The door was partially open, jammed in position when power had started to fail. Kelly and Rob forced it the remaining way. Inside, 4 stasis chambers hummed weakly. The blue radiance from within lit the faces of the Nexar team. Their blue-silver skin had a frozen quality, covered with a thin coating of frost from the hibernation process. Sam immediately started checking the chamber status. They're alive, but barely. These chambers were never designed to operate this long on emergency power. The preservation compounds are beginning to deteriorate. Can they be transported? Jack asked. Sam acknowledged. Yes, but with care. We'll need to maintain them in stasis until we can transfer them to our medical section. How much time do they have remaining? Rob asked. Sam looked serious. If we hadn't located them, maybe 2 days. The chambers would have collapsed and he didn't complete the statement. He didn't need to. Then let's not waste time, Jack said. Kelly Mark stabilized the chamber systems for transport. Rob assisted Sam preparing them for movement. I'm going to inspect the bridge, see if I can discover what occurred here. As the others worked, Jack made his way to the Nexar ship's bridge. The account he discovered in the ship's records was both straightforward and heartbreaking. Engine breakdown in deep space. No method to fix it. And a gradual countdown to death. The final record entry from the commander affected him profoundly. To whoever might locate us. We did not surrender peacefully to the darkness of space. We resisted until our final moment. Jack touched the console gently. You did, he said to the vacant bridge, and it succeeded. We located you. Now they just had to complete the rescue. The Nexar ship's stasis chambers arrived in the Horizon's medical section. Dr. Sam worked efficiently, connecting them to the human ship's energy systems. The blue radiance of the chambers intensified as they received full power for the first time in months. Will they be okay? Captain Jack asked, observing Sam check the vital readings displayed on the chamber monitors. Their bodies are steady, Sam replied. But these compounds they use for stasis, they're different from ours. I'm not certain how to safely revive them. Engineer Mark studied the Nexar chamber controls. The system is intricate but methodical. I think I can understand it. He pulled out a small device and started scanning the alien technology. The Nexar language uses mathematical sequences as a foundation. If I can interpret that, how long will it take? Jack asked. Mark shrugged. A few hours, maybe less, if Kelly assists me. Do it, Jack commanded. In the meantime, Rob and I will see what we can recover from their ship. He turned to Sam. Keep them steady. Alert me immediately if anything shifts. Back on the Nexar craft, Jack and Rob collected personal belongings, information storage, and ship records. These people had been floating for months. The least the humans could do was preserve their memories and research. Captain Rob said, holding up a silver disc. I think this is their version of family photographs. There are images stored on it. Jack acknowledged. Pack it all. Everything that could be meaningful to them. 6 hours later, Mark contacted the captain to the medical section. I've got it, he said, excitement evident in his voice. The revival sequence. It's actually ingenious once you grasp the sequence. Are you certain? Jack asked. We can't afford errors here. I'm certain, Mark said confidently. They constructed their systems to be comprehended by any race with basic mathematical knowledge. It's like a universal language. Jack looked at the 4 aliens sleeping in their chambers. All right, revive the commander first. Commander Alex felt cold, then warmth, then feeling returning to limbs that had been motionless for too long. Consciousness returned in waves, each bringing more awareness. The stasis compounds were dissolving, allowing thought to return. Something was incorrect. The revival sequence was occurring too rapidly. Emergency procedures. Had the ship systems collapsed completely? Alex's eyes opened gradually, vision cloudy at first. A face came into focus above the chamber. Not Nexar. Pink skin, hair on the head, eyes circular and dark. Human. Alex attempted to speak, but the throat was too parched. The chamber cover was open now. The human said something that sounds odd and unfamiliar. Another human appeared, offering a container of water. Alex took it with trembling hands and drank carefully. The water was cool and pure. Where my team? Alex managed to ask in broken universal trade language, a simple form of communication used between races. The human with dark hair seemed to comprehend. Secure, he said in the same language, indicating to the other chambers. Still sleeping. You are first. Alex looked around. This was not the Starweaver. The medical section was different. Constructed for human bodies with brilliant lights and equipment. Alex didn't recognize. I am Jack, the human said, placing a hand on his chest. Captain of Horizon human ship. We located your emergency transmission, Alex, the Nexar replied weakly. Commander of Starweaver. How? How long? 2 months, Jack said. Your ship was floating. Almost no power remaining. 2 months. The chambers had been constructed to last 3 at most. The humans had located them just in time. Thank you, Alex said. The words feeling inadequate compared to the magnitude of what these aliens had accomplished. Over the next day, the rest of the Nexar team was revived. Dr. Ben recovered rapidly, immediately assisting Sam comprehend Nexar biology. Navigator Tom was more cautious, observing the humans with suspicious eyes. Engineer K was captivated by the human ship, asking endless questions that Mark attempted his best to answer. Communication was challenging at first. The universal trade language was restricted, designed only for basic commerce between races. Mark had a solution. I've been developing this, he said, showing Alex a small device. It analyzes speech sequences and creates translation programs. The more we communicate, the better it functions. Alex took the device carefully. Nexar were not known for accepting alien technology, but they had little alternative now. Your people came for us, Alex said slowly, the device translating. Why? We are unknown to you. Jack seemed surprised by the question. You needed assistance. That's sufficient reason. This simple response confused the Nexar team. In their culture, such actions required logical justification. Resources expended, hazards accepted, advantages obtained, all carefully measured. The humans had diverted their assignment, consumed valuable fuel and provisions, all for unknown aliens who might never be able to compensate them. Your ship, Kay asked Mark through the translator. You said you were on a survey assignment. Now you are delayed. Will you be disciplined? Mark laughed. We'll get some bureaucracy and maybe a lecture about timelines, but no one will question that. We stopped to assist. Kay frowned. In Nexar space, such inefficiency would not be accepted. Efficiency isn't everything, Kelly said, joining the conversation. Sometimes you do things because they're right, not because they're efficient. This concept seemed to disturb the Nexar deeply. Later, in the Horizon's dining space, both teams shared a meal. The humans had created food compatible with Nexar biology, another gesture that surprised Alex. We've managed to preserve most of your ship systems, Jack explained. The main engines are beyond repair, but we can tow you to the nearest station. From there, you can contact your people. The nearest station is 5 days away, Rob added. We've already changed course. Ben, who had been speaking quietly with Sam, turned to Alex. Their medical knowledge is unusual. They use intuition alongside science. Their bodies are simpler than ours, yet they adjust quickly to new environments. Tom leaned closer to Alex. Can we trust them? Really trust them? No race is this helpful without motive. Alex watched the humans laughing together at the far end of the surface. They were so different, loud, emotional, inefficient in many ways. Yet they had done what no Nexar ship would have done. Diverted their assignment to rescue unknown aliens with no guarantee of reward. I believe we can, Alex said finally. They are different from us, but perhaps that is beneficial. They saw our transmission and chose to assist. In their position, would we have done the same? The question hung in the air, uncomfortable but necessary. I have studied the device they gave us, Kay said quietly. The translation technology. It is creative. Not as exact as ours would be, but it learns and adjusts like they do. Alex acknowledged slowly. Perhaps we have much to learn from each other. Across the room, Captain Jack raised a container in a toast, smiling at the Nexar team. The humans had rescued them from certain death, asking nothing in return except the opportunity to assist. Alex raised a container in return. A strange feeling growing, something like optimism, but warmer. These humans, with their inefficient methods and emotional decisions, had done something extraordinary. They had responded to a call that no one else had detected. Impossible, Kay said, shaking her head as she studied the technical drawings of the Starweaver's engine core. The crystal structure is completely destroyed. There is no method to repair this. 3 days had passed since the rescue. The Horizon towed the damaged Nexar craft behind it as they traveled toward the nearest space station. Both teams had been working together trying to comprehend what had occurred and if repairs were possible. Engineer Kelly leaned over the surface, studying the same technical drawings. Unlike Kay's slender blue fingers, Kelly's human hands were rough and marked with small scars, signs of someone who worked with real machinery, not just designs. Nothing's impossible, Kelly said with a confidence that Kay found puzzling. Just because it hasn't been accomplished before doesn't mean it can't be accomplished. Kay sighed. The crystal structure is the core of our propulsion system. It must be flawless, cultivated, under exact conditions over many months. Even a small imperfection would cause disastrous breakdown. Kelly picked up one of the broken crystal pieces. What if we don't need it to be flawless? What if we just need it to function long enough to get you home? Those are the same thing, Kay said. Kelly smiled. Not to humans. They aren't in the medical section. Dr. Ben watched with fascination as Sam treated a small burn on Rob's hand. The first officer had injured himself while assisting move equipment from the Nexar ship. You're not using a healing matrix, Ben observed. A what? Sam asked, applying a simple bandage after cleaning the wound. A programmed cellular accelerator, Ben explained. It would seal the wound immediately. Sam shrugged. We don't have that technology. The body heals itself with a little assistance. Inefficient, Ben said automatically, then caught himself. I'm sorry, that was impolite. Sam laughed. No offense taken. It is inefficient, but it functions. The body adjusts, becomes stronger around the healing location. Sometimes the slow method has advantages. Ben thought about this as he assisted organize medical provisions. The humans accepted imperfection as part of existence. They worked with it, rather than attempting to eliminate it completely. It was so different from Nexar thinking. On the bridge, Navigator Tom stood beside Captain Jack, watching the stars. The human ship's navigation systems were less sophisticated than Nexar technology, but Jack guided the ship with a confidence that impressed Tom. How do you know this is the best route? Tom asked. Your computers haven't calculated all possible paths. Jack tapped his head. Some things you just sense. Experience intuition. Call it what you want. Sometimes you know things you can't explain. Tom frowned. That is not logical. No, Jack agreed. But it functions. He pointed to a cluster of stars ahead. See that formation? Reminds me of a sequence I saw near a gravity well once. I'd steer a bit more to port just to be cautious. Tom checked his instruments. Nothing indicated danger, yet he couldn't help but notice Jack changing course slightly, trusting something beyond information and numbers. Commander Alex found the humans constantly surprising. They worked hard but laughed often. They argued openly but without lasting anger. They approached problems from angles that no Nexar would consider. Mark had created an improved version of the translation device, allowing both teams to communicate more freely. Alex used it now as the command teams gathered in the Horizons conference room. We've been examining the damage to your ship, Jack said. The good news is most systems can be repaired once we reach the station. Life support, navigation, communications, all repairable. And the bad news? Alex asked. The engine. Jack looked to Kelly, who stood to address the group. The crystal structure is beyond conventional repair, Kelly said, but we think we discovered an alternative solution. Kay appeared uncomfortable. I told her it won't function. The crystals must be flawless. Kelly placed a container on the surface and opened it, revealing the shattered remains of the Nexar engine core. Perfection is overrated, she said with a smile. What if we reconfigure the crystal fragments in a new sequence? They won't function like they did before, but they might generate enough power for limited propulsion. That is not how our technology functions, Kay insisted. Maybe not how it's supposed to function, Kelly agreed. But these crystals still have energy potential. We just need to arrange them in a way that creates a steady reaction. Alex looked at Jack. Is this possible? Jack shrugged. Kelly has a talent for making things function when they shouldn't. I've learned to trust her instincts. Instincts? Kay repeated the word, sounding foreign from her mouth. Not calculations, both. Kelly said, the calculations tell us the limits. Instinct shows us how to work around them. For the next 2 days, the engineering teams worked on Kelly's idea. The Nexar engineers were skeptical, following procedures and protocols that had served their race for centuries. The humans were different. They attempted ideas that failed, adjusted, attempted again, working through breaks and sleeping in shifts. Kay watched Kelly work with growing interest. The humans' approach was chaotic by Nexar standards, but there was a method to it. Kelly talked to the machinery, patted it, treated it almost like a living thing. Why do you do that? Kay asked. Do what? Kelly looked up from the crystal alignment she was adjusting. Speak to the equipment. Touch it unnecessarily. Kelly laughed. Old habit. My first ship was a rust bucket that needed constant coaxing. I guess I learned that machines have personalities. That is not rational, Kay said. Maybe not, Kelly agreed. But sometimes when nothing else functions, a little sweet talk and a gentle touch does the trick. She tightened a connection and stepped back. Let's attempt it now. The reconfigured crystal array was nothing like the original Nexar design. Instead of a flawless geometric formation, the crystals were arranged in an asymmetrical sequence that looked incorrect to Kay's eyes. The human engineers had added materials from their own ship, conductors and stabilizers that weren't in the original plans. Power it up, Kelly said. 20% only. Kay hesitated, then initiated the sequence. The crystal fragments began to radiate, energy flowing between them along the new pathways. The readouts showed power building unstable but present. It's functioning, Kay said, surprise evident in her voice. Told you, Kelly said with a grin. Not flawless, but good enough to get you home. We'll need to monitor it constantly and make adjustments, but it should hold. Kay stared at the improvised engine core. By Nexar standards, it was a crude solution, inelegant and temporary. Yet it functioned when all Nexar knowledge said it should not. I do not comprehend how you thought of this, Kay admitted. Kelly shrugged. Humans are good at making broken things function. It's kind of our specialty. Later, Alex found Jack in the observation room, looking at the two ships joined together as they moved through space. Your engineer has done the impossible, Alex said. Jack smiled. Kelly would say she just did what needed doing. The Nexar would never have attempted such a solution, Alex admitted. We would have followed protocol, waited for rescue, or accepted our fate. Different approaches, Jack said. Neither incorrect, just different. Alex thought about this. Your team took hazards to rescue us. You continue to take hazards to assist us. Why? Jack considered the question. Humans have a saying. A stranger is just a friend you haven't met yet. Space is vast and dangerous. We all need assistance sometimes. The translation device struggled with some of the concepts, but Alex comprehended the meaning. The humans assisted because they could, because they believed connection was valuable in itself. It was a simple idea, yet it challenged everything the Nexar had built their society upon. Efficiency, logic, perfection. These were the pillars of Nexar civilization. The humans offered something different. Adaptation, improvisation, and an unexpected kindness that crossed the boundaries between races. As they stood watching the stars together, Alex wondered what other surprises these humans might have to offer. The space station appeared first as a small point of light in the distance. As the joined ships approached, it grew larger, a spinning wheel of metal and light, home to thousands of beings from dozens of races. Frontier Station 12, Jack announced on the shared communication channel. Not the biggest or the newest, but they have repair facilities and communications that can reach Nexar space. Commander Alex stood on the bridge of the Starweaver, which now moved under its own power thanks to Kelly's improvised crystal engine. The ship limped along beside the horizon rather than being towed behind it. It wasn't attractive. The engine required constant adjustments, and they could only manage half their normal velocity, but it functioned. We're being contacted, Lisa reported from the Horizon's communication station. The station controller's voice filled both bridges. Horizon, we've been concerned. You're 2 weeks behind schedule. What occurred? Made some new friends, Jack replied easily. Nexar science vessel in distress. We're bringing them in for repairs. There was a pause. Nexar out here. That's unusual. So is locating survivors after 2 months of drift. Jack said we'll need a repair bay for them and accommodations for their team while they wait for pickup from their people. Understood. Horizon, proceed to docking bay 3. We'll prepare for your arrival. News of the rescue spread quickly through the station. Humans were common in this part of space, but Nexar were rare visitors. By the time both ships docked, a crowd had gathered to observe. The 4 Nexar team members stepped onto the station with mixed feelings. They were grateful to be alive, yet aware of how distant they still were from home, and they were unsettled by the attention they received. Why are they staring? Tom asked quietly. They've heard about the rescue, Alex replied. It seems our account has traveled faster than we have. A station official approached, accompanied by several other beings. Commander Alex, I'm Administrator Park. We've arranged quarters for your team and repair facilities for your ship. We've also sent word to the nearest Nexar embassy. They'll send transport for you within 2 weeks. 2 more weeks away from home. It was both a disappointment and a relief. 2 more weeks with these humans who had rescued them, who continued to surprise them. Thank you, Alex said to the administrator, then turned to Jack. And thank you, Captain, for everything you and your team have accomplished. Jack smiled. We're not departing just yet. We have our own repairs to make and reports to file. Besides, I think our engineers would riot if we attempted to depart before seeing your ship fully functional again. In the following days, the reputation of both ships' teams grew. Accounts spread about the human ship that had diverted its assignment to rescue aliens they didn't know and of the Nexar who had survived against impossible odds. Representatives from several races visited the repair bay where the Starweaver was docked, curious about the makeshift engine that shouldn't function but did. Engineer Kay found herself explaining Kelly's improvised solution to fascinated technical experts. The human approach is unorthodox, Kay admitted to a group of engineers, but effective in ways we would not have considered. In the station's medical center, Dr. Ben collaborated with Sam, sharing knowledge that benefited both their peoples. Ben's exact comprehension of biochemistry complemented Sam's practical approach to treatment. Navigator Tom spent hours in the station's stellar cartography lab, updating Nexar star charts with human exploration information. The humans had mapped regions. The Nexar had never visited using simpler but surprisingly accurate methods. For Commander Alex, the days were filled with meetings and preparations for the journey home. But in quiet moments, there were conversations with Jack, discussions about leadership, about the differences between their peoples, about the vastness of space and the unexpected connections it created. 10 days after their arrival at the station, a message came from the Nexar High Council. They want a full report, Alex told the Nexar team as they gathered in their station quarters, including details of the human rescue and assistance. Will they comprehend? Ben asked. Will they see the value in what occurred here? It was a valid question. The Nexar valued efficiency and logic above all else. The council might view the humans' actions as irrational, perhaps even suspicious. I do not know, Alex admitted. But I will tell them the truth that these humans did what no Nexar ship would have done. They rescued us when there was no logical reason to assist, no benefit to themselves. And that their illogical methods fixed our unfixable ship, Kay added. Tom, who had been the most skeptical of the humans, acknowledged slowly. Perhaps there is a logic we do not yet comprehend, a wisdom in their approach that we have overlooked. The day before the Nexar transport was scheduled to arrive, both teams gathered in the station's observation lounge. Through the large windows, they could see both ships docked side by side. The elegant, exact lines of the Starweaver next to the more rugged, practical design of the Horizon. Jack raised a container to new friendships and safe journeys home. Everyone drank to the toast. The atmosphere was warm but tinged with the sadness of approaching farewell. Captain Jack, Alex said, stepping forward. On behalf of my team and the Nexar people, I wish to present you with something. Alex handed Jack a small box. Inside was a crystal similar to those used in the Nexar engine, but smaller. It radiated with a soft blue light. This is a communication crystal, Alex explained, modified according to what we learned from your engineer, Kelly. It is imperfect by traditional Nexar standards, but perhaps better for it. When activated, it will allow direct communication between our ships regardless of distance. Jack held the crystal carefully. I don't know what to say. Say that this is not goodbye, Alex replied. The universe is vast, but perhaps not vast enough to keep new friends apart forever. Kay approached Kelly holding something wrapped in cloth. For you, she said, unwrapping it to reveal a tool made from Nexar metal. It is an adjuster used by our engineers. I have modified it to fit human hands. Kelly took the tool with reverence. It's beautiful. It is practical, Kay corrected, then added with what might have been a smile. But perhaps it can be both. As the evening continued, more gifts were exchanged. Star charts, medical knowledge, stories of home. The Nexar, who had never valued such informal connections, found themselves reluctant to see these relationships end. Before the gathering concluded, Alex addressed everyone present. When we were lost in the emptiness, we believed no one would locate us. We were mistaken. The humans responded to our call when no one else could detect it. They showed us that there are many kinds of logic in the universe, many paths to wisdom. Alex looked at the assembled teams. Blue-silver Nexar beside pink-skinned humans, so different yet now connected by shared experience. What we learned from each other may be more valuable than any technology or star chart. The humans taught us that imperfection can be strength, that adaptation matters more than perfection, and that sometimes the most logical action is to assist simply because you can. Jack smiled. And maybe you taught us something too, that precision has its place, that sometimes thinking things through beats rushing in. Perhaps, Alex agreed, the best path lies somewhere between our approaches. As they stood together watching the stars, the rescued and the rescuers, they shared a simple truth. Space was vast and often dangerous, but it was less so when you didn't face it alone.